I just leave it 10 seconds to buffer.
Yeah. No worries.
What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I've got a fantastic guest with me as always. It's Cam from the Mighty Blues. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. You know, getting on, doing the same stuff really every single day. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. Have you recovered from John being on the channel last night?
Yeah, no, he done his boss last night. We had a boss little stream. He done really, really well. No, he said to me before that he was a little bit nervous, but he smashed it. Done boss. So it was a good stream. Yeah.
I was proud of him, actually, to be fair, because it's one of the things, obviously, you know, in November when I had my issues with the channel, and you were one of the first people to message me saying, Mike, don't pack it in. Like, whatever's going on, don't pack it in. And you know, I knew I had support from, like, fellow creators and whatever, but John being, like, he'd become a family friend. He'd become more than just it sounds bad at the time. Obviously, me and you were really close now, but at the time, you were a creator friend.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you are just a mate. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And with John, it was kind of like, I just said to him, John, I'm going to step away from this. And he just said, look, I'll do a couple of your videos. I'll be shit, but I'll do a couple. And he stepped up and he did them, and it was massive to me. But he kind of got the taste for it, and it felt wrong not including him.
Yeah.
Because he fit in so well. He reminds me a lot of the Blue Van Man. That's what John reminds me of.
He's quality. He is quality, and you know, some of them clips from the match and from Twitter and that Jesus Christ, mate, I could sit and watch them all day. Really.
Yeah, I've got tons of clips of both me and John saying shit like that. Honestly.
Top quality.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously you also know about the plans for the channel, so there's big plans. And the channel, you know, I think it's fair to say both of our channels at this moment in time are flying.
Doing well. Doing well, they're doing well.
So anyway, you've got your personal channel now. So what's that about? What you're going to include on there?
So basically, I just decided to make another channel. I already had the other channel just for, like, you know, if you've got YouTube, you've usually got multiple accounts. So I already had the other channel, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll start making just normal type of videos on there, non-Everton related, talking about stuff that I enjoy that isn't Everton, stuff like conspiracy theories, which I spend most of my time sitting down, letting my mind go west with them, talking about Netflix series that I've watched, for example. You probably know from, if you watch the channel, I'm quite a vocal person, and I like to talk and talk and talk. And obviously, listen, Everton's a big, big, big part of my life, a massive part of my life. But there's other stuff that I like to do, and sometimes I've found myself sitting there, whether it be watching a Netflix series, whether it be, you know, reading up on a conspiracy, whether it be playing a computer game, and I've sat there and I've thought, you know what, I quite like to talk about this on a YouTube channel, but I didn't want to do it on the Mighty Blues because I wanted to keep that sickly sort of Everton or football related, so that everybody that goes to watch a Mighty Blues video knows they're going to get, you know, talked about Everton or football in general. So I thought, you know what, I'll do a little bit of just a personal channel, I've called it, because the channel name is my name, where I can upload other stuff like that, talking about Netflix, talking about conspiracies, and I can just sit down and be a little bit more free with it. So yeah, that's why I decided to do it.
Yeah, and obviously we've discussed that. It was one of the things I wanted to mention at the start of the video because obviously if you are into conspiracies and Netflix and whatever, but it's something that conspiracies especially hits a chord with me. I'm really interested in that as well. We've discussed a few things, and I think a lot of the subscribers on my channel, equally your channel, be interested in that. So I wanted to plug it early in the video for you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers for that.
That's your plug. You can fuck off. Right, so obviously I was going to talk about some transfer rumours. Obviously, every single video about Everton at this moment in time seems to be transfer rumours, but there's very little else going on.
In football, there's very little else going on.
It's to be honest, and I'm glad, because it's not the priority at this moment in time. Yeah. So obviously, just a very quick note on Andre Gomez yesterday. I don't know if you watched the game. He played Raheem Sterling. He lost 4-2.
I did.
It was tight in the end because he had a fucking typical FIFA goal off the fucking line.
I said that. I said FIFA's done him in there.
I was absolutely gutted for him because I thought he played really well against Reece James.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I don't know whether with that tournament, I think I heard a comment made when I was watching the Reece James game, something about capping the players to 85 or something like that, and I totally forgot about it yesterday because I was sitting here thinking, well, Sterling's got De Bruyne and Aguero here, so obviously they're going to be more lethal than the players we've got it, you know. But no, I was gutted. I never thought I'd be that gutted to see an Everton player lose a game of FIFA, but I was gutted because that was a typical FIFA moment where there's just madness happening and it's cleared off the line just through the computer game doing it. But yeah, I caught it, and the Reece James game was boss because he just absolutely pulled his pants down and made him look like a proper fool. But it was a good close game yesterday. So yeah, proud of Andre. It's something to watch, innit? It's something to do. It's football related. Obviously, it's virtual, but watching Andre Gomez play FIFA has been the most entertainment I've had related to football since I last watched Everton. Well, I want to say I last watched Everton play Man United because the Chelsea game wasn't that entertaining for either from an Everton point of view, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the best game I've watched, to be honest. I quite enjoyed the Zaha Sterling game.
I haven't seen any of the others, to be honest. I've only caught Gomez's too.
Yeah, that was good. It was 5-4 to Sterling. Zaha was pretty good as well. I mean, I don't know who I want to win the tournament, to be honest. But equally, I just as long as Sterling beats Trent Alexander, I couldn't really give a toss.
Yeah.
Right, so one last thing before we talk about Everton. I don't know if this is 45 minutes ago, I wanted to read this.
Okay.
So Chelsea's first team will not be taking a pay cut.
Yes. Seen it on Sky before, yeah.
What's your take on that? Because apparently they've had talks and it's not been agreed. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it's a little bit up in the air. I agree. I don't really know how I feel about it. Obviously, there was talks and there was rumours about the Premier League basically telling all clubs that they will have to take a pay cut, or at least massively telling them basically we need you to do this. But it never really went anywhere from there. There isn't anything to say that they need to do it. It was just sort of put to the clubs for them to ask their players, and I'm a little bit thingy with it because we've seen Arsenal players do it, and that's fantastic, and it's brilliant. But then 5-6 hours later, we seen Arsenal being linked with a £50 million move for Thomas Partey. And you're sort of thinking, if you're asking your players to take pay cuts, they're not going to be happy if you're then going and bidding 50-60 million for another player when you've asked them to cut down their wages. Now, we know, obviously, coming from football fans and normal people, footballers are on ridiculous amounts of money, and if footballers took a 15, 20, 30% pay cut, it wouldn't mean much to to their living style, basically, because they've already probably got millions backed up in the bank. But they're human beings; it's their job. And if you were told by your employer, right, okay, we need all of you to take a 15% pay cut because we haven't got enough money coming in, and then you heard the rumour 2 days later that they were going to go and spend 50 million on a new design and website or something, you'd be a little bit like, hang on, what's going on here? So I don't know. I think it's very, very easy to jump at Chelsea at this and jump at their players and say, well, Arsenal have done it, but why aren't you doing it? What's going on here? But I think there's an awful lot of behind the scenes sort of talks and stuff that are going on that we obviously don't know and we obviously don't see. Listen, I don't think it'd be a bad thing whatsoever if every player in the Premier League took a pay cut of some sort. Maybe not as, if somebody's on 500 grand a week and they take 30% and somebody's on 20 grand a week, maybe not as, the same sort of percentage. But it's a difficult one to make any opinion of, I think, really, because there's obviously an awful lot of things going on behind closed doors. And with the Arsenal thing, we've seen Arsenal players take a pay cut. It was brilliant. And then you see an Arsenal link with all sorts of players over the next couple of days. And yes, they are only links, but if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, if there will be another transfer window, whenever the next transfer window is, let's say for argument's sake it's at some point in the summer, teams like Arsenal probably will go out and buy players. Teams like Chelsea probably will go out and buy players. So then you've got to think about how the players that have taken a pay cut are going to react to that situation. If Arsenal come out and go, listen, we need you all to take pay cuts and we can't sign anyone because we haven't got the money coming in, same with Chelsea, then it's fair enough. But I can't see that happening. Like, as soon as the transfer window opens, I can see teams like Arsenal and Chelsea buying players. So I think it's a little bit difficult, to be honest, to make any opinion of, because we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We just know that it's being put to them and they've refused, but we don't really know the reason as to why they've refused. And I suppose we can't make a solid opinion until they come out and say, well, we haven't refused because we don't want to give money up. We refused because we're already donating certain amounts of our wage. Chelsea players could be donating already 20% of their wages towards the Players Together campaign or towards another campaign that helps out the NHS. So they might say, I'm not taking another 30% because then that's like half my wage and I still need to fucking live and pay my bills. I've already got money coming out the bank that's going to help the charity. And obviously we don't earn any of that. We just they've rejected taking the pay cut from the club.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Look, the way that media spin footballers. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We all know they're on too much money. We all know that. There's no getting around that. We all know they're paid far too much for what they are, and people like police, ambulance drivers, NHS workers, support staff, they're just not paid enough. We all know that. Yeah. The problem is you don't actually know how much of that goes to charities. I mean, the rumours are that Seamus Coleman gives 40% of his salary away to charity every month. There's numerous players that have done it over the years. So
exactly. And if it comes to Everton and it comes to Seamus and they said you'd take a 30% cut and Seamus said no, all you'd see on Sky was Everton captain Seamus Coleman rejects 30% cut, but you don't see that 30% would mean 70% of his wages, and although 30% of his wages is probably still an awful lot more than anybody else could even wish of getting, he still has to live in the boss house that he's bought. He still has to fund, his children, his wife, the cars that he's bought. He can't just get rid of all of them and say, right, okay, I'll live like a normal person for 2 months, because that's not how it works, and that would be 70% of his wage gone. So, I agree, spot on. The media will only spin it as to the way that wants a negative outlook on footballers. Instead of actually thinking, well, hang on, maybe these footballers that have rejected it are already given money as part of their wage.
Very fair. Right, obviously, some of the rumours today, there's one that I wanted to talk to you massively. So I released a video last night for about 3 minutes before YouTube decided to completely fuck it up. And that's fine, it's one of them. In that video, I mentioned Philippe Coutinho. Now, this is like one of them hidden videos that no one's ever seen. If anyone ever got that copy, I guarantee when I've got 1 million subscribers, that video that is built but never got made public or private or whatever, that'll be the one that goes for millions of pounds on it. It will. But I mentioned Philippe.
I'll have to get me bid in then.
Hey, mate, get on it. All the money could go to Everton in the community. I mentioned Philippe Coutinho. I wanted to know your thoughts because it's been leaked very heavily today. Looks like Carlo Ancelotti sees Coutinho as that man that can drive Everton into the Champions League for a midfield. That man that we've both said that we wanted, that creative spark in a number 10 or attacking midfield role. What's your thoughts on Philippe Coutinho? I mean, I can't believe I'm even mentioning his name. I still see him as a red. I'm still bitter. What's your take?
That's it, and I feel a little bit the same. I think when he was first mentioned 2 or 3 weeks ago, I sort of looked at the rumour and I thought, that's desperate, that from whoever's written that, whoever's decided to make that up, that's desperate. And I think that when I see a lot of rumours initially, and I only start to sort of believe or feel like there's some truth in it when you see it, A, cropping up more and more, and B, cropping up through different sort of journalists and through different companies and stuff, because you think, right, okay, it's very, very easy for one journalist to make up a bit of information. It's very unlikely that multiple journalists would make up the same bit of information because they wouldn't get anything out of that. I think the big thing with Coutinho obviously is the Liverpool connection. I think I said this when I don't know whether you were on my channel or I was on your channel last week. I think firstly, if we strip down the fact that he's played for Liverpool, and if he hadn't played for Liverpool, every single Evertonian on this planet would want Philippe Coutinho at Everton. They would. If he hadn't had that Liverpool connection, you would want him at Everton because he's got the quality that we need. He can drive with the ball. He's very skillful. He can hit the ball from 20, 30 yards. He's confident. He doesn't mind doing it, and he's exactly what we're missing in that centre of midfield. Slightly like what we're missing in when we're being linked with James Rodriguez. We need a midfielder that can not only dominate and become a leader, but also drive the ball forward and create and ultimately score goals. We haven't got a midfielder that does that. As good as Andre Gomes is, he doesn't do that. He doesn't drive forward and he doesn't score enough goals, and the others are average at best and don't do it either. So if you took away the fact that Philippe Coutinho played for Liverpool, and I know, that's easier said than done, obviously. If you took away the fact that Suarez had played for Liverpool, you'd probably take him in his day as well. But the fact that we're continuously being rumoured with Coutinho, and the fact that Ancelotti seems to really, really like him, and the fact that Bleacher Report have rumoured today that Everton are likely to meet the asking price from Barcelona, and the player's quite keen himself. For me, it sort of cries out that the player has spoken to somebody at Everton, or somebody from Barcelona has spoken to the player, and then through Everton and said, listen, he wouldn't have no problem coming to Everton. He'd get his head down, he'd play footy, he'd be professional, he'd do exactly what he needed to do. He wouldn't think about the Liverpool connection, he wouldn't think about his past, he'd get his head down. Because I think if Everton approached Barcelona and the player said, I ain't going to Everton, I've got a history with Liverpool, I want to come back to the Premier League, yeah, but I don't want to go and play for Everton because it's disrespectful. I don't think Everton would even be considering matching the asking price, and I don't think Ancelotti would even give it a second thought, because it'd be a waste of time. Whereas for me, the fact that we're putting we appear, according to rumours, to be putting so much thought into this transfer rumour, and we seem like we really, really want him. For me, that says that on the other end, that's being reciprocated, and he really, really wants to come to Everton, or he's be well open to coming to Everton, and he wouldn't have any issue with his Liverpool past. But in terms of the player himself, I think if he hadn't played for Liverpool, 99% of Evertonians would happily take him at Everton for a reasonable price, because he's got that quality that we simply need, and I would take him. I would listen. At the end of the day, you don't know. You don't know if the Liverpool thing is going to affect him as a player ultimately until he's sat at Goodison Park, or he's on the pitch at Goodison Park at a Merseyside derby playing in blue, and you're not going to know until then, because that's the only point where you're going to see whether his mentality is, I'm going to get my head down and play for Everton, or the Liverpool thing's getting to me a little bit. I don't think it'd be a problem in any of the other games, because I think he'd just get his head down and play for the team he's playing for. But ultimately, I think for the 30, 40 odd million pounds, I'd definitely take him. I think he's exactly what we need. I really do.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I said last night.
Go on.
I said that Philippe Coutinho was a problem at Liverpool, in that he was a standout player in a good side that had Mane and Salah at the time, and Firmino, I think, towards it.
Yeah.
But he slowed down the play for those three.
Okay.
And, now, if you look at the way that Liverpool play now, they play very expansive, very quick, very aggressive. Now, Everton's different to Liverpool. We haven't got the same pace, and we haven't got the same cutting edge that Liverpool have. Fact.
Or quality.
Yeah, right. What I'm saying is Philippe Coutinho is fine now. But I don't necessarily believe, and you might shoot me for this, I don't necessarily believe Philippe Coutinho is a player that will be able to grow with Everton. I think Everton will outgrow his style of football. Because if he wants to use the pace, which he appears to, he loves pace. Ancelotti's teams, if you go back through the years, he's always had pace. He brought in Bale, he's had Bale. Ronaldo, he brought in players at PSG who had pace. He brought in players at Chelsea who had pace. Yeah. His teams are very much set up to be solid at the back
and fast in attack.
Coutinho will slow us down, but he would do it much more effectively than to get somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah.
So, one of the criticisms from Liverpool was that he held them back from attacking. And based on this season, I can't argue with my own thoughts, because they were second last season, or before he left in January or whatever it was. And they're now probably going to win the Premier League as long as it's not voided. So, for me, absolutely take him. Absolutely snap your hand off at him. But I just worry about in 2 years or time. That's all.
I actually agree. I think, like you said, he could potentially slow this team down in terms of his pace. But like you mentioned there, he'd slow it down a lot more effectively than the players that are currently slowing it down. I think he's more of an instant fix rather than a player for the future. But I actually think we need more of an instant fix now because we've bought players for the future. We bought Moise Kean, who was a player that if he was surrounded by a team full of leaders and top quality players, he would become a top quality player. But at the moment, other than, you know, the odd couple of players in the team, he's surrounded by very average footballers who are coming towards the end of their career and can't do an awful lot. So that isn't going to help him. And I agree about Coutinho, and maybe he would only be here for a couple of years and then without growing. But if Coutinho would come in and we could get a good 2 years out of him and we could, you know, I don't know, win 20% more of our games and possibly even win a trophy with him, I'd be happy in 2 years to say, right, okay, we've outgrown you. And if we can be sat here with Carlo Ancelotti as our manager in 2 years saying we've outgrown somebody with the quality of Philippe Coutinho, that's got to be a positive. That's surely got to be a positive. But I do agree with you. He's not a player that's going to come in and we look for the next 10 years, but he's an instant fix and he's instant with that quality. Whereas we brought in, say, a Fabian Delph, who was an instant fix, but with very little quality that we needed. But, you know, I agree. I see where you're coming from, I do.
Okay, so other rumour, and I tell you what, it was almost like choreographed then. You've mentioned Moise Kean.
Okay.
And Moise
Yeah.
obviously been linked with a move away. Napoli have been linked to AC Milan, numerous clubs have been linked with Moise Kean.
All with one thing in common, by the way.
And what was that?
Italian. All Italian clubs.
Yes. So I sit here and I like Moise Kean. I'm going to put it out there. I like Moise Kean. However, I also liked Ademola Lookman. And I always say this to people, and one of the areas of my job, without telling you what I do, and well, you already know, but telling everyone else, is one of the areas I think. So I look for three abilities in a person, and that is 1, attitude, 2, drive and determination, and 3, knowledge.
Yeah.
If you've got knowledge, you can go one or two ways. You can either be an absolute cocky prick and go, yeah, fucking hell, I know everything. Or you can be level on the ground and you can say, yeah, I can help you with that. I know the answers to that. You can be like a little bit of an oracle. If you've got the wrong attitude, you're never going to learn the other two.
No.
And that was the issue with Ademola Lookman.
Yeah.
And I am very worried that may actually also be the same attitude with Moise Kean.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and only Carlo Ancelotti knows, we've been linked today with either Alan or Irvine Lozano.
Or both, I think one of the things you said, both, yeah.
For Moise Kean or part of a deal. What's your take on that? What's your thoughts?
I think on the rumour itself, without delving into the players, I think on the rumour itself, it's very, very easy to have made that rumour up. It's very, very easy to have fabricated that rumour. I honestly, I just don't understand where the Moise Kean leaving Everton rumours are coming from, because we seem to be getting an awful lot of them thick and fast. But you've got Moise Kean on one hand saying that he's happy at the club, he loves the atmosphere, he loves the fans, he said he's happy here. You've got the club on the other hand in Ancelotti who seemingly are happy with him. So I don't quite understand where the rumour, why there's so many rumours about him. But like I said, I think the one that linked us with Alan and Herman Lozano, it was very, very easy to make up, because they know that Carlo Ancelotti wants to bring Alan to Everton Football Club. He does. He is a player that he trusts, he's a player that he knows, and he's a player that ultimately has got more quality than possibly any of our midfield. Maybe give or take Andre Gomez, but certainly the rest of them. Lozano's another one who we've been looking at for a while. He's got a connection with Ancelotti, worked with him at Napoli, and he's got a connection to Marcel Brands from working with him at PSV as well. So it's very, very simple to go, right, we'll say Moise Kean's going to leave and those two players are going to go to Everton. I wouldn't sell Moise Kean. I see where you're coming from with the Lookman point. I think Lookman's slightly different. Obviously, he come in from, was it Charlton? Come in from Charlton and then...
Not allowed to confirm that, Cam.
I'm sure it was Charlton. But he had...
I'm not confirming.
Is that one of the questions?
It might be.
It's one of the questions. I'm sure he come in from Charlton, and he had a little bit. He did have an attitude at Everton Football Club. Now I think the difference is Ademola Lookman come in as a good young player, and sort of we all felt like he got the potential to be a fantastic young player. We've brought Moise Kean in as almost like well, he was labelled as one of the best youngsters in the world. He was labelled by a lot of Italian media, a lot of Italian journalists, as going to be the best Italian striker for quite some time. Now he's come in, he hasn't settled for one reason or another. I personally think it's like what I said before. I don't think there's enough quality around him. I don't think there's enough leaders around him. I think a young lad, 19 years of age, coming and playing in a different country, with a different culture, with a different style of play, having, let's be honest, dog shit players surrounding him, and obviously there's exceptions to that in terms of Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Holgate, etc. But the majority of the players are bang average in our team. Having those type of players around him isn't helping him. Now, I wouldn't sell Moise Kean personally, because I think if we can sort of say to Moise Kean, right, you're just going to stand there for like an hour, basically, this is just a little fun, a little mind time, put your mind and make sense of what I'm saying. You're going to stand there for an hour, and within that hour, we're going to bring in him, who's got loads of quality, loads of leadership, and then you're going to fit straight in there, and they're going to help you develop. He ain't going to develop in this current team because there's not enough players with quality around him. I think if we sell him, we could be sitting here in 4 or 5 years thinking, fucking hell, we had him there, and he's now playing in a team with loads of quality, playing in a team with loads of leadership, and he's smashing it. He's absolutely smashing it. So personally, I wouldn't sell him. I do like the look of Lozano and Allen, but I just feel like we could add quality, get rid of some of the deadwood, and I don't think Moise Kean is part of that. Add quality, add leadership to this squad, and then I think Moise Kean could develop properly at Everton Football Club with that quality and with that leadership. But I just think it's interesting. I just don't really see where all of the rumours for Moise Kean are coming from. It almost, and I don't want to believe it, but it almost worries me to believe that there's something coming from the club that says that somebody doesn't fancy him and they want to put him out on loan or they want to sell him. But that's not what we're being told. But I suppose we wouldn't necessarily be told that.
I think for me, I described him to John this way. He's a young Romelu Lukaku. He's strong, skillful, quick.
And can finish.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I'm actually completely moving away now because I don't know, all of those issues you've just mentioned are, in my opinion, the reasons why Ademola Lookman turned out the way he did, because he didn't have any quality. He wasn't played in a team that had no pace. When Ademola Lookman played in that team, he added a different dynamic. I mean, he came on against Chelsea, I remember, in the League Cup, I think it was, and he absolutely tore Chelsea a new arsehole. But every time he seemed to start, he seemed to struggle. But I don't know whether that was because of the players that were around him at the time. We had a midfield of Klaassen, Rooney and Sigurdsson. We were playing Klaassen on one of the wings. It was terrible.
Yeah. That is a slow midfield. For anybody that thinks this midfield's slow at the moment, Klaassen, Rooney and Sigurdsson in the midfield, Jesus Christ, that was slow.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason I feel like Ademola Lookman turned out as it did. I 100% believe Ademola Lookman is one of the most skillful players Everton have signed in recent years.
Yeah, I agree.
He just had explosive pace and the ability to run rings around anyone he liked.
Yeah.
And I can understand why his attitude changed. That's all that's all I wanted to say, sort of thing, when Ademola. Another one here, Sports Mole and Città Celestia, or whatever that says. Everton offer Ciro Immobile £135,000 per week. What's your take on him? He's 32, isn't he?
He is. I don't want to say coming to the end of his career, but he's not at the peak, shall we say, or he's not at his youngest years. I like him. I do like him. I think we'd have to pay far too much money to warrant what we could pay for him. Yeah. And I go back to this point whenever we're linked with strikers. It would take an unbelievably talented, world-class young striker for me to really, really, really want us to bring him in. I wouldn't mind Immobile, but I just think he costs too much money. And I think for the money that would spend on Immobile, we could use that more effectively in other positions. Now, I don't think striker is a necessity for me this summer. I think you're looking at right back, which is a massive necessity, because if we don't sign Sidibe, we could be in a hole depending on what John Joe Kenny wants to do. You've got centre midfield, like we mentioned, a creative attacking midfielder, a little bit like Coutinho. That's still a position we need to address. You've got centre back is probably another position we need to address, because one of the players that could potentially leave is obviously one of the two centre backs, whether it be Kean or Mina, in order to allow us to have more funds for financial fair play and stuff. You've got right winger. If we're going to play this formation, we need a right attacking sided player, because Theo Walcott simply doesn't do it consistently enough. You've potentially got a defensive midfielder as well, depending on how Kabam returns from injury and whether he can step in and he can do the job that we need him to do, which effectively is the replacement of a Gisagana, which ultimately we don't know if he can do that yet. I just don't think... I think striker, for me, probably is our most solid position at the moment. You've got two good young players in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, who, okay, neither of them are the finished article, but they're very, very young, they're very quick, both of them, they're very skillful, they're good in the air, and they're learning as well, and they've got the right attitude. Like you mentioned, their attitude is massive, and I think those two players are two key examples of players in Everton's first team that have got the right attitude. They get their head down, they want to work, and they want to improve. So personally, it takes somebody ridiculous, like, and I'm going to throw a name in here, and there's no chance we can sign him because he's going to Barcelona, but somebody like Lautaro Martinez, or somebody like Dybala, somebody who is absolutely world class, who is getting to the peak of their career, still quite young and got a lot to offer, for me to really, really say we desperately need a striker. If Lautaro Martinez said, I want to go to Everton, I'd say make it happen now, pay him however much he wants, spend the money, because he is that level above. But anybody else for 60, 70 million, I just think we could use the money elsewhere. And I think, like I said, I really, really like the two strikers that we, that we currently have now. I really like Richarlison, I really like Calvert-Lewin. Obviously we've got Moise Kean there as well. But in terms of those two, I honestly just don't think you can fault them. And if we had a perfect team, if we had two boss right backs, four boss centre halves, two boss attacking midfielders that create and score every week, two boss right mids, I'd go, okay, maybe we can look for an out-and-out natural striker like a Lukaku was, like a Martinez is, but we're not in that position whatsoever. There's other positions on the field that need addressing more urgently than striker for me.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree, and I think it's the same. It's the same argument with a player like Dres Mertens. I mentioned it in my video a couple of weeks ago. Is that Dres Mertens for me is, if you said to me, Dres Mertens will sign for £5 million and be on 150 grand a week and he'll play for you for 2 years, I'd take that.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me 25 million. It's not a player that's viable. It's the same with Ciro Immobile. Okay, so you think we need ready-made players?
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Not too old.
No.
Not too young.
No. I'm happy to bring in young talent. I'm happy to bring in potential, but there's no point in bringing in all this potential if the senior members of the squad simply aren't good enough, because the potential won't live up to the potential.
Agreed. So, okay. So, obviously, talking about one last position that we've been rumoured with and we've been linked with, I threw a name in the video that no one's watched. I threw a name out there last night for Thomas Meunier.
Okay.
Right back from PSG.
Yeah.
28 years old, I think, or 29.
Yeah.
Certainly experienced at top level. I have a funny feeling he has somewhere along the line played for Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
But I can't quite remember. He won't cost a lot, as far as what I understand, 15 million. Is that the sort of player you think, right? Got European experience. He's played in World Cups, in European competitions. He's got experience. He's got good quality. He can go up and down. Is that the sort of player you want Everton to be signing, or would you want to go even younger than, say, 29 and go for someone who is a professional, who has made it, who has played games in the Premier League, but isn't necessarily on that level yet? Someone like, for example, a Max Aarons, who would probably cost you 30 million. Where's your head at?
See, I don't want to be contradictory and say that I'd love to bring in somebody like Max Adams, because he is still very, very young. Okay, he's played in the Premier League, and okay, he's shown a lot of quality, but I think he's still got a lot to show, and he's got to do it consistently, ultimately. If Max Adams was going to cost us 30 million, for example, and Thomas Meunier cost us 15, I'd probably bring in a Thomas Meunier, if I'm being honest. Somebody with a little bit more experience, somebody that you know what you're going to get out of him. Don't get me wrong, if we could bring in Max Adams and he could be absolutely unbelievable for Everton, and he could sort us out for 5, 10, if not more years. But we could also bring him in and he doesn't settle, and he doesn't manage to get his head down, and ultimately we end up paying £30 million for a player that is inconsistent. Thomas Meunier's been there, like you said. He's played in the top competitions. He knows what it's like to be at the very, very top. He knows what it's like to fight for titles, to fight for leagues. I think that's more what we need at the moment than a younger player. Don't get me wrong, I love Max Adams because he's a very, very good young player. But again, Max Adams would be perfect in a side that is full of leaders, a side that is full of players that are going to lift him, are going to tell him, listen, this is what it likes to play for a football club, the size of Everton Football Club. You need to be on it week in, week out. You need to be getting up and down. You need to be using your energy. If we could bring in 5 or 6 leaders and then we're linked with Max Adams, I might go for him. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no now. But I think in this team, again, he'd be another young player that could struggle with the fact that he hasn't got that leadership and he hasn't got that quality around him. So I'd rather at the moment bring in somebody like Meunier who would bring that quality, and then get, 2-3 years out of Meunier, and then see whether it be Max Adams, or he'll have probably gone to somebody like Man United or somebody else at that point, but see who's the next big young right back in the Premier League or around Europe. And then at least we've got the foundations there for a good young player to come in. I just feel like with bringing youngsters in at the moment, I just don't think we've got the foundations for them yet, because a young player is never going to live to their potential if the players around them aren't at that level. If Moise Kean isn't going to live to be one of the best strikers in world football, Premier League winning, Champions League winning, if the players around them aren't at that level. It's not going to happen. So, I think the foundations need to be there for the younger right back. That's why I'd personally go for the Thomas Meunier.
And I think, to be fair to you, at a point that you've not made, but I kind of think you could make with what you've just said, is obviously if Everton need to strengthen, in my opinion, and I don't know whether you agree with this, but I think we need a right winger, a right back, a centre midfielder, either a box to box or a number 10, and a centre back.
Yeah.
That I genuinely believe we need 4 players. Right? If Everton have a budget of 150 million. You kind of want the majority of that spent in the centre back and your number 10 or your midfield position. Yeah. So if Everton have 150 million, now I personally suspect that if the Coutinho rumour is true, and I have no problem with that, I actually believe it'll be a loan with compulsory option.
Okay.
And I think it would probably not be 30 or 40. I suspect it will probably be like 75.
Okay.
So I think you've got to take, say, 35 million out of this year's budget. Well, put that in a kit. I think we'll make money on players.
Yeah.
We sit there and we hope Schneiderlin goes, Sigurdsson would like to go, Cheikh Tosun would like to go, Michael Kean potentially be the centre back that leaves, John Joe Kenny potentially out the door, plus the wages that we release in Umanias, Martina, hopefully we get Balassi off the book, Morales,
Sandro,
Besic. When you go through the entire team, you're saving a hell of a lot of money, which could give Everton a hell of a massive war chest.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that Kenny has gone to Germany, it takes just a little bit less pressure on the right back position. Because although I do not think he's good enough, I think he could possibly do
a job.
Yeah,
I said that to John yesterday. I said, listen, before John Joe Kenny went to Schalke, I thought I don't see this lad having a future playing for the Premier League, playing in the Premier League for Everton. I just don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's quick enough. I don't think he's switched on enough. But I also remember saying a similar thing about Mason Holgate before he went to West Brom. He went to West Brom, didn't see an awful lot of him at West Brom, but he come back and now he's our best centre back. So who's saying that John Joe Kenny won't come back? And that year at Schalke done him so much good, and he comes in and he's like, bish bash bosh, I've got the confidence, I've got the ability. We just don't know that yet. But I do agree, he could do a job. I agree.
I'll throw one last thing at you, just
Go on.
one. And
Go on.
that's it.
Go on.
So it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I said to John, I'm telling you right now, Mason Holgate will be a better player. I've said this to you, will be a better player than John Stones. Now, I still stand by that. 100%. I still stand by that. I also said that Ross Barkley would be a better technical player than Wayne Rooney. Now, yeah, right. So you can see I do get these things wrong.
Was this when he was at Everton?
Yeah. When Ross Barkley broke onto the scene at 16 years old, played against Norwich or whatever team in the first game of the season, at 16 years old and scored an absolute screamer, I remember sitting there going, this lad will be better than Wayne Rooney. And still to this day, if you'd have put a Ross Barkley in a team with that sort of experience and quality at a young age, I still feel that he would have been a better player than he is now. He's moved on too late, Ross Barkley. I am on the fence when it comes to Kenny about that.
Okay.
Because I just don't know how consistent he is at going forward. Defensively, going to Germany is a great thing because we all know Germany, defensively, notoriously, they're a very efficient league. Yeah. They don't make as many mistakes defensively as the Premier League does. The statistics prove that. Yeah. So can he go in there defensively? Yeah, I'm fine with. Yeah. But if Everton, depending on the way that Carlo Ancelotti plays and the signings that he makes, there could be a lot of pressure on the left and right back next season to get up and down, which he uses Sadi for. Yeah. Kenny can't do that. And that's the bit that worries me.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I think we should be in the market for the right back. 100%.
100%.
100%. Thomas Meunier, Max Aarons. Bring them both in. Fuck it. Thomas Meunier 2 years. Max Aarons for fucking the rest of forever. Bring them both in.
Yeah. What happens to Pickford?
I don't think we'll sell him. I don't. Now, whether we should or not is a different question. I think if we were to sell him, I'd want like upwards of 60 because I just think he would be one of the players that we could get the most money out of. So I would want to get the most money out of. Plus, we'd need to sign a replacement, which in this day and age, a goalkeeper costs you more than £60 million anyway, a top goalkeeper. But I just don't think we'll sell him. Again, I think it's another one of those positions that Ancelotti may think this, if we're going to be champions, playing in the Champions League, winning Premier Leagues, then yeah, it is a position that needs addressing. But at the moment, we're just challenging for the Europa League, and I think he probably might look at it as not absolutely essential. But yeah, I don't think we'll sell him. I don't. I think you need another goalkeeper though. A good, strong number 2.
Yeah, agreed to put pressure on him.
Yeah, agreed. And maybe that'll be good for him. Yeah,
I agree. I said this was going to be the last one, but there's another rumour that I completely forgot to mention. A defender with experience, Premier League, proven. I'm not going to say quality, but he's proven in Premier League. He's got experience. He's currently playing in Italy. He goes by the name of Christopher Smalling. What's for me, if you're going to say to me Everton are going to sign Chris Smalling and he's going to play maybe 15 games this season and just be a little bit of, cover and maybe give a little bit of experience, maybe a little bit of know-how, in terms of experience to Holgate, fair enough, I've got no real issues. But if he's going out to be our number one target as centre-back, I'm fucking worried.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100% spot on, I agree. I've got no real issue with bringing him in for a little bit of experience, a little bit of, again, almost in an unofficial coaching role, where he's sort of just there to help the rest of the team in training, and then he can come in and do that job if needed, a little bit like Jagielka had done, a little bit like when we were rumoured with Gary Cahill would have come in and done, which probably this season we've needed at times. We've needed an experienced centre-half to step in and do that. But I agree, if you were to say, he's our number one centre-back target, I would be fuming. I would be massively worried. And if we're bringing in somebody like a Gabriel, which if rumours are to be believed, we are, I I can't see us going after Smalling either. But again, he will bring that know-how of being at the top level, playing in the Champions League, winning leagues, experience, in various countries, and leadership qualities as well, which is 3 things that we need.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely the last one. 100% the last one. Do you think, obviously last week, and the player that I want more than anyone, and you know this, the player I want more than any person in the world right now is Jack Grealish. It is. Like, I can't stop myself from wanting Jack Grealish over Philippe Coutinho. I'm sorry, I know that's probably wrong, but I just can't help it. And that's probably the Liverpool connection. Do you not find it interesting that 2 weeks ago and a week ago, Everton were massively linked with Jack Grealish? Man United were pulling out. They're not interested. They don't need Jack Grealish. Ed Woodward today has come out and says, look, if you think Premier League clubs are going to have shitloads of money, you're wrong. Like, this has hit us really hard. That's all died. Jack Grealish has all died. And all of a sudden, as a result, Jack Grealish has gone down and Philippe Coutinho has gone up. Do you not just think Philippe Coutinho could just be a name that someone's thrown in there?
Yeah, I do, and I think all of these rumours that we're seeing, I still think Gabriel could just be a name that someone's thrown in there. I think it's very, very easy for journalists at this point to throw names in the hat. It's very, very easy because they're after. At the end of the day, they can't report on football matches. They can't report on player performances. They can't report on the upcoming Euros. All of these things that they would have had planned to report on to earn their wage on. They cannot report it now. So the only way they can ultimately make their money, and that's what it's about them making money, is to throw transfer rumours out there. And there's no morality in there. They don't care whether there's a link there or not, whether the player would want to move or not. At this point, a lot of journalists now are just going, fuck it. Pick a name out of a hat, pick a club, pick a price, bash them together. Now, a little bit contradictory. I do think there's stuff in the Gabriel situation, and I do think we're massively after him, and I think Carlo Ancelotti really, really wants him. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't sign Gabriel this summer. I won't be surprised if we don't sign Philippe Coutinho this summer. I think it's tough to pick out which rumours are really, really solid, because I think the Gabriel rumour is solid, but I don't necessarily believe he's already had his medical at Everton, which is what some people are saying. One rumour said that he'd agreed £35,000 a week, which I don't think's true, because he's a very, very good young Brazilian player, and the players around him are on much more than that. So I can't see him agreeing such a low price. I don't know, but I agree. I think that's why I'm trying to stay a little bit calm when I'm talking about him, and trying to be a little bit, taking everything with a pinch of salt, because listen, if we got excited from every rumour, and if every rumour was to be true, there wouldn't be a single Everton player that's currently in the Everton squad that'd be there, because we're being linked with everybody left, right and centre.
Yeah, and I think as well, like you mentioned, Gabriel, if he doesn't sign for Everton, is the biggest catfish I've ever fucking known on Instagram. I mean, honestly,
scratching the nose and that.
He had me in fucking bits the other night, he did, because I was sitting there and I'm sending him comments. I even dropped it DMs on Instagram and said, on your next stream, if you're signing for Everton, wear a white t-shirt. He wore a white t-shirt, and I sat there, you are a dickhead, man. Because now, right, he's scratched his nose, he's like this. I said to him, rub your eyebrow, his hair like this. Somebody did the emoji of the lips, the tongue equals a blue and a shirt. Yeah. And I sat there, and then John said, lip your top lip. And the next thing you know, his hair like this. Sitting there thinking, honest to God, not only is this man's comprehension of English phenomenal,
yeah, exactly.
The whole Everton fan base on absolute stitch up here. Now, I personally believe he will be an Everton player. I just have that feeling. Right? And if it's 30 million quid, which is rumoured to be, I'm more than happy with that. And he'll come in alongside Holgate, and I'll be chuffed with that. Because I think them two at centre-back's really solid. Luca Dean on the left as well, again, really solid. And if you look at some of the players that Lille have created over the years, I mean, they've had a fantastic team. Yeah. It's the right-back position that could be an issue. Fair enough, we know that. But then if you go into midfield and you say Andre Gomez, Gabam, and Coutinho, if we throw Coutinho in there, you've got a midfield three, like a triangle, like a 4-2-3-1. You'll have to have Richarlison as sort of a left
Winger.
striker / winger, if you get what I mean. You have Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front in the formal ST role. Would you not consider going, right, okay, well, we've got Moise Kean. Would you not stick him on the right?
I don't know because I think I've seen Moise Kean play once on the right hand side and he just appeared lost. He hugged the line an awful lot. He didn't really come inside. I don't know. I think it'd take a lot of talking to Moise Kean and making sure he understands the role and training him in that role. I don't think it's just a case of saying, right, you can go and play out on the right-hand side, because I think he'd struggle. I think there's a potential there if he learns the role and he adapts into the role and he starts to figure out what the difference is between being a striker and being a right winger, then I think there's a potential there, because, like you said, he's got pace, he's got power, and he's got ability as well. But he would have to be spoken to, and he would have to learn that role, I think. Whereas I'm not convinced he 100% knows it at the moment.
Do you know what I think's a massive positive with Moise Kean?
Go on.
Carlo Ancelotti being that is huge for him, and I really do feel confident that going forward, as long as Everton definitely don't sell Moise Kean, because both you and John have rightly pointed out that it's almost like someone at Everton, maybe Marcel Brands, doesn't actually fancy Moise Kean in the development of the team. So I personally am quite excited for Moise Kean next season. I also think, irrespective of when this transfer window is, I think this is a massive window. That sounded really blummy then, didn't I? For Marcel Brands, because as I said before, I said it last summer, I said it to you on your stream, he got it wrong in terms of player recruitment last summer. You know, the last signing Everton made was Iwobi. Now, when I sit there and I break it all down and I just think, that is shit, I'm hoping for a better window from him this year. That's all I'm hoping. And if he can bring in that sort of little bit of a sprinkle of quality stardust in, I'll be over the moon.
Yeah. Experience, quality, leadership, and a player that you know is going to come in and is going to light it up at Everton. Not a player who you think could come in and light it up, a player that you know will come up and light it up at Everton. I'll be made up, mate.
Agreed. Well, Cam, look, thank you ever so much. This was meant to be a 10-minute video. It's 51 minutes and 50 seconds so far. So, really appreciate it, mate. You can get back to taking your top off and just playing Warzone now, mate. Just sitting in your bedroom or doing whatever you do at 21 years old.
Listen, if you were in this bedroom, you'd have your top off as well. Not just because I'm here, but it's absolutely boiling in this bedroom. It's unbelievably hot, mate. And my bedroom's the bedroom with the boiler. I've got a radiator in here, so it's just like unfathomable heat. So I probably will take my top off and play Warzone, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Well, mate, look, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thank you very much.
I'm not even going to bother saying to people, go and subscribe to Cam's channel, because I can guarantee that they already have. And equally, there's no fucker watching after 53 minutes. I can say anything at the end of this video, and I can guarantee that nobody... Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna do a competition. Do it. I will put £10 in someone's PayPal if they comment and tell me this exact phrase: I hate the red shite. That's the end of the video. First person to do £10. Peace.
Thank you very much.